Hey, it's Whitney from EcoVeganGal.com, and welcome back to the Q&A. I'm so glad that you're here today. These are so much fun, and if you are brand new to these, I have a few things to let you know about them. First of all, these happen every Saturday afternoon. The times vary, but are usually between 2 or 1 o'clock, or let's say 1 to 4 p.m. Pacific time. And you can always find out what time they are by signing up at google.com/+EcoVeganGal or by checking in at the EcoVeganGal Facebook and Twitter pages. And for those of you who are watching the recording, there are some really nice advantages to that. You can watch live and watch the recording if you want to pick up where you left off. And if you're watching the recording, you can skip forward to a specific section. Down below in the YouTube description field, as well as the SoundCloud description field if you're listening there are timestamps, and you can just go right to the part that you want to listen to. So how these work if you're watching live is you can ask questions live through Google+. The only way I can see questions is through Google+. So if you ask questions on YouTube or if you ask questions on... It's a little confusing, but let me break it down for you. So I can't see any comments or questions happening live on YouTube, so please don't ask them there, even though you can see this on YouTube because it broadcasts there. It's really just where it lives after the fact, but it's not the interactive part. The interactive part happens at Google+, and you can go to google.com/+EcoVeganGal and click on the day's live Q&A event page, and there you will see something called the Q&A app. And you can access this from your computer and from your mobile devices, and within the Q&A app, that's where you ask your questions. If for some reason your question doesn't come through and you get a little bit confused, don't worry about it. If you ask it somewhere else, I will pull it and put it in a future Q&A. And that's the way these mainly work, is before every Saturday happens, I actually go around and collect all of the questions I've been receiving and pick a few, usually about 5, to kind of prepare. And then after I answer those questions, as I will today, then I jump into the live questions. So that's the way this works. You can ask questions anytime you want if you're watching live. They all get collected in the Q&A app. And like I said, if you get confused, don't worry about it. Just search around. I don't know why Google makes this so complicated, but it is a fantastic platform aside from that. And I found that most people figure it out after a little while. So thank you if you're feeling frustrated. Another cool feature of these live hangouts is you can actually see a little section called the Showcase, where it shows you which websites I'm talking about at the moment. So right now I have EcoVeganGal.com showcased, and I'll just be pointing out that way if you're watching live, you can click, you can check out what I'm talking about without having to copy and paste or type something in or search for something. That's only available for people watching live, so that's a nice benefit. And if you're watching the recording, all of the links mentioned today are in the description field. I did mention earlier that I also broadcast this to SoundCloud. Sometimes I'll get it up as early as 24 to 48 hours after the recording. I think I still haven't put last week's up yet. Sometimes I get busy and distracted and forget to put it up there. So I apologize. I usually try to get it up as soon as possible. But the benefit of SoundCloud is that you can just listen to it. So if you find that you really just prefer listening instead of watching these Q&As, SoundCloud might be great for you. It's free. You just go on there, you click download, and you can go right to your computer or your mobile device or whatever MP3 player you have, and you can listen to it in the car, on the road. People tell me they listen while they're cooking. There's so many different options, and with the length of these videos, some people just prefer to listen to them. However, today I have a lot of things to show you. So if you are just listening, you might want to go back and check out the YouTube recording, because I'll be holding things up and demonstrating all sorts of, not demonstrating, but I'll be just showing you things that people have asked me about. But first, I have a few more announcements now that we've got the way things work aspect of this out of the way. First of all, I have some very exciting news. I've been kind of teasing this and leading up to this. If you check out the Showcase app, for those of you watching live, you will be able to see what I'm talking about right now. I have finally opened registration for the YouTube webinar, the online course that I've been talking about. And I'm partnered up with Cobi from Veggietorials, and the two of us are offering a free webinar on September 1st all about YouTube. We're going to be sharing all of our experiences and telling you how you can grow your audience and move towards monetizing your content. And I know some of you have channels out there, and some of you may be wanting to start channels and are unsure about it. YouTube can be a little bit confusing, and I've been on YouTube since 2008, so I totally know what it's like. It is a constant learning experience, and I've really just had to be fully absorbed in YouTube in a lot of different ways in order to figure out what works and what doesn't, and how to get more people to watch, and how to make it worth my while, usually with some sort of financial exchange or something benefiting, right? Because this has become my full-time career. And a lot of people ask me, how have I done it? People have also asked Cobi how she's done it, and so we thought, let's tell them, and let's do it in a really organized, professional fashion. So we put together this course, and so you can watch that for free. But I do want to say, we announced this 2 days ago, and we're almost entirely filled up. We have to cap it off at a certain number of people, and right now we're 75% full. So if you are thinking about joining and you want to learn more, click the link. It'll be in the description fields. It's also on the showcase right now if you're watching live and eager to check it out. Do it right now. Just take a break. You can listen to me while you're registering. All you have to do is enter in your email address. I wouldn't be surprised if it fills up by the end of today or tomorrow. And yeah, it's free information, and we may not be doing it again for free. We might be recording it, but we also might be doing some sort of on-demand access pass to that. So if you want to see it for free, then sign up. So all information will be further passed along on social media, and you can learn more about that course and what we'll be doing and talking about when you click the link provided. What else do I have? I have a whole list of things to talk about today. Also, I've been working away on my ebook. I've mentioned this a lot. It has been an ongoing process, but I hope to have that done by the end of the month. I'm really, really excited about it, and very, very proud of all the information. If you're brand new to Eco Vegan Gal and you don't know what I'm talking about yet, I'm writing an ebook called Healthy Organic Vegan on a Budget, and it is going to be a fairly long ebook all about how to eat well without spending a lot of money or even spending a lot of time, and it'll also outline the benefits of eating organic, eating vegan, and just eating healthy and what that means. That I've gone so into depth with all of this, and I'm so excited and proud, and I cannot wait to show it to you. I think it's going to help so many people get more focused and figure out how they can incorporate this healthy lifestyle into their lives. So stay tuned for that. There will be a link in the description field that you can click on that will allow you to sign up for the mailing list. And the cool thing about signing up for the mailing list is I will be doing special discounts for anyone who has been part of that list. And I'll also be releasing a first draft, or like a, I don't know if first draft is the right word there, but maybe I'm thinking about releasing the book to only a select number of people at first to kind of get some feedback and make sure that everything is all good before I fully launch it. So it's kind of like a soft launch. And if you want to be part of that, if you want to get your hands on the book as soon as possible, you can sign up for that list, and that link is down below as well. Speaking of books, another cool thing that I announced yesterday on YouTube is that I'm relaunching the Eco Vegan Gal book club. And if you have been part of Eco Vegan Gal for a while, you know about this. I had a book club back in 2012, about 2 years ago, and it was really neat. It went on for a few months, and then I moved back to LA, and my life just was all over the place for a little while, so the book club wasn't sustainable for me. And I've been thinking about restarting it for a long time, and I decided now is the time. So I have a pre-launch for the next 2 weeks, meaning that it's kind of like not a pre-launch. That's not the right word. It's like a preview of the book club, a little like getting started point for people who are really eager, because I couldn't wait. I wanted to announce it, and I wanted to get things started, and I'm officially going to start things rolling in September 1st. But since I was so eager to begin with this, I wanted to announce the very first book that we're going to be reading for August. And the last 2 weeks of August, for those of you who read fast and want to get your hands on something and can't wait to absorb more information, you can follow along with me as I read this phenomenal book called The 7-Day Allergy Makeover. I'm going to be referencing this again in this Q&A today because it pertains to some questions that I received. I cannot tell you enough how much I love this book. It is so phenomenal, and I talk more about it in the video I posted yesterday, so go check that out. That's already on Eco Vegan Gal, the main YouTube channel, and I'll also link to it in the description fields for you who are having trouble finding it. But this book is so great, and I would love for you to read it along with me in the month of August, and then we'll discuss it I think the last Sunday of August. We'll have a little discussion August 31st about the book, and then on September 1st, or around September 1st, I'll be announcing the full-on book club, and we'll be picking a book to read together. We do it through a voting system where I'll put a list of books up, and you guys can join in and vote for which books you want to read, and we can read it along with each other. All the details are in that other book. I'm not going to spend the time. All the details are in the other video I recorded yesterday. So if you want to learn more about that, check it out. I really hope that you do because it's such a cool way to get yourself to read, to find new books, to learn more information, and then because we're gathering as a group, we get to talk about it, and I feel like being able to talk about books, and these are all nonfiction books, so sometimes they're things that we really are eager to share. Like when I'm reading this allergy book, I just want to talk about it all the time. And if you're like me in that sense, having a club where you can kind of virtually talk with each other and then do these Google Hangout style videos where we get to chat with each other about the book, it's really cool. So I'm just thrilled to relaunch that. All right, well, I have two products I want to highlight for you today. One of which I have another video that's coming up on the What a Vegan Eats channel. That's my other channel where I talk about just the foods that I'm eating and enjoying and all that. I do kind of mini reviews over on that channel. If you haven't checked it out yet, I'll link to that down below. And the product I'm going to be posting about probably later today is Kevita. And I really love this beverage. I'm not going to spend much time talking about it in this video because the video I already recorded for this is like 10 minutes long talking about why I love this drink so much. So I just wanted to encourage you. I just wanted to say, though, as I reiterate in the video on the other channel, is that this blueberry cherry, their new flavor, is so good. I'm really upset because I think I've only seen this at Whole Foods and one other store in my area, and there's a ton of places that sell Kevita, but they don't have like as much variety. So last night I had to get this mango coconut, which is good. They're all really good, but the blueberry cherry is amazing. And if you're looking for a way to get more probiotics into your life, if you're looking for a way to stop drinking unhealthy carbonated beverages like soda, Kevita is awesome. So I will link to that video for you, or you can just go to the What a Vegan Eats channel, and probably by the end of the day that video review will be up and you can learn all about why I love this drink so much. I also wanted to do a follow-up because a few Q&As ago I mentioned these amazing boots, Bourgeois Boheme. This is there you go. And I wanted to report that I've been wearing these, and I absolutely love them. I love them from the moment that I saw them. They arrived they're from the UK, I believe, and they arrived in this box, and I was so excited. I literally, I went and I picked them up from my mailbox, and on my ride back, I put them on at a stoplight. I couldn't wait to wear these boots. And then I think that was the same day or maybe the day before my Q&A, and so I mentioned them in that last video and told you a little bit about these cool boots, which are of course vegan, but they really look like they're made from suede and feel suede. I mean, nobody would know that these weren't leather. They're that well made. But in the last video I mentioned I hadn't even really worn them yet, and now I've had a chance to wear them out a few times. They're so insanely comfortable. People love them. I've been getting great compliments on them. They're great for fall. They're such cool fall colors, but they still work, of course, you know, at the end of the summer. And they look wonderful with jeans and all sorts of pants. I don't know if I could pull these off with shorts. Do you think? I'm not sure. These are the type of boots that I'm not entirely used to wearing, I guess. So from a style perspective, I wonder how I can wear them. But they look great with long pants, that's for sure. So I have fallen in love with Bourgeois Boheme. They have another pair of shoes on their site that are on sale right now that are so cute. They have sales all the time. So if you're looking for more eco-vegan shoes, this company just rocks. And the owner has a cool video up on her YouTube page where she is just seems like the coolest person ever, and she's got all these great videos with animations, and their brand is just really, really cool. And I didn't really know much about them until recently. So if you're in the same boat, check them out. Go grab one of their sales. These boots were on sale last time I mentioned them a couple weeks ago, and now they're not anymore. But they have another pair of shoes on there that are 50% off and are just so cute. I'm very tempted to buy them. So if you're looking for more shoes, check them out. They're for men and for women, and I think that they're just super stylish, really well made, and the company seems to be just fantastic. Okay, well, I think, is that all I have for announcements and cool things to tell you about? Yes. So let's jump right into the questions. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prepared for you, and then I'll jump into your live questions. And again, you can ask them anytime. You don't need to wait until I start answering them. I actually like it when you submit your questions early on, because then they're all there ready for me instead of me waiting awkwardly at the end for questions to come in. And again, as a reminder, google.com/+EcoVeganGal. Click on the event page and then use the Q&A app there. If you ask them on the event page, I still don't get to see them. I'm sorry, it's a little complex, but most people figure it out, so I believe in you. I know you can too. All right, let's move on to the first questions. The first two are actually very similar to one another. Username Angelica Ellis asks, can I go vegan if I'm allergic to nuts? And Heather asks, similarly, I'm allergic to most fruits and avocados. Are there a lot of options of stuff to eat that I can go vegan and still have a lot to choose from? So the answer to both questions is absolutely yes. And I've kind of addressed Heather's question in the past. If you go to the Eco Vegan Gal channel and type in the word FODMAPs, FODMAPS, I've talked about it at least one other time, plus this one time with Sayward when I interviewed with her. She's the one who introduced me to this. And this is addressed in this book. FODMAPs is something I hadn't heard about, and now I see it absolutely everywhere. So either it's been under my nose or it's just starting to get more attention in the media, but it's really a fascinating thing. FODMAPs is a type of sensitivity that includes a lot of things like fruit. In fact, let me see if I can just look it up here and read directly from the book. Yes, it's talked about so much here. In fact, she even has a really great resource that I was super excited to see. They're basically fermentable sugars. And let's see, where is the main point where she talks about this? Okay. All right, so many people are intolerant of foods with what are known as fermentable carbs. These include fructose in fruit, lactose, galactose, xylitol, and sorbitol. Foods that are high in such fermentable carbs are called FODMAPs, which stands for, this is hard to say, fermentable oligomonosaccharides and polyols. Gluten, grains, dairy products, and alcohols are all high in FODMAPs food, which is yet another reason to avoid them, but so are beans, lentils, and peanuts. Many healthful vegetables such as cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli, and fruits such as apples, pears, peaches, and nectarines. These foods can create digestive issues such as bloating, gas, diarrhea, constipation, and abdominal pain. Some 20% of Americans have the same symptoms that go along with the diagnosis of irritable bowel syndrome. And this woman talks about how she's found that 75–80% of her IBS patients find relief by avoiding these special sugars and reestablishing a healthy gut flora. Fascinating, right? So I don't know exactly if Heather, or even perhaps Angelica have a FODMAP sensitivity, but I actually think that, well, I found that I am sensitive to a lot of the foods that fall into those categories. So I've been on a very low FODMAPs diet, and like I said, this book has so much information about that, plus a whole list of foods that you can eat. So actually I should pull that right up here. Not only does she have that specifically for FODMAPs, but she has an allergy-free food shopping list. And this book is just so amazing on so many levels. That's why I would recommend this book, first of all, is that as the author, Dr. Susan Bennett, who I really want to have on a Q&A because of how knowledgeable she is, she explains that a lot of the times we think we have allergies to things, but it actually might be other things happening for us in our life. And that's why this book I recommend it to everybody, even if you don't think you have allergies or sensitivities. There's probably a lot going on with your health that you don't realize it's influenced by so many things, from the food that you eat, to the water, to the air quality, to what's going on in your kitchen, and on and on. There's just so many elements that we need to be aware of. And even if you don't have symptoms, it's important to be aware of them anyways for long-term health. So that's why I really love this book. But she does point out that for people like me who kind of have sensitivities all over the place and they don't make sense, it could just be some random factors I've never thought of before, and they might not even show up in allergy tests, which has been my experience in the past. So in here, she talks about all the foods that you can eat that are allergy-free. Again, everybody has a little bit of a different situation going on, but just to answer Angelica and Heather's question about what can you eat if you have allergies, there's so much, okay? So she does outline some meat and fish-related things. This book is not vegan, but it's kind of a small part of the book, right? But then she has this huge list of vegetables, right? When you see how many vegetables you can eat, you could just live off vegetables, right? I mean, there's so many, and they can all be combined to different things, from artichoke to asparagus to bell peppers, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. Some of those might fall into the FODMAPs category. I think there's a separate section for that. But she goes on and on about all these different vegetables and fruits if you're not sensitive to those, herbs, oils and butters, nuts and seeds. So if you're sensitive to nuts, you could have seeds potentially, legumes, grains, beverages, and all of that. Then she has a separate list that is foods that are low in fermentable sugars, including certain fruits. Avocado is mentioned here, although as she mentioned in the book, that avocado, for some people, they're sensitive to it if they have too much of it. So I don't know if that's the case with Heather, but she might want to think about, can she have just a little bit of avocado? And there's a list of all these foods that are low in fermentable sugars, like blueberries and coconut, dragon fruit, durian, grapes, honeydew, kiwi, lemon, lime, mandarin, melon, orange, papaya, passion fruit, pineapple, raspberries. I mean, as you can see, there's plenty of things that you can eat, plus tons of vegetables here, from bok choy to butternut squash to carrots to celery to cucumber, eggplant, ginger, green beans, kale, lettuce. I mean, you can think of so many dishes to make with those foods. Fresh herbs are generally really safe. Nuts and seeds, again, depending on your sensitivities there, but there's so many seeds: chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds. Then all sorts of gluten-free grains, from arrowroot, brown rice, gluten-free bread, gluten-free oats, millet, polenta, quinoa, tapioca, milk alternatives, as we know a lot of those, and healthy oils and butters, avocado oil, coconut oil, flaxseed oil, grapeseed oil, all of that. Then she has a separate list of foods to avoid and all that. So my point being is that if you have a sensitivity to just nuts, that's awesome, right? You can eat so many other foods, right? Any fruits and vegetables and grains and seeds, and you're fine. I actually don't eat very many nuts because I do have some nut sensitivities, and I'm still trying to figure out which things I'm sensitive to. And at first it felt a little bit of a bummer, but I got used to it, and now it's like not a big deal. If I want a nut butter, I have like a sunflower seed butter or something like that. Make it my own. Nuts, I find, are not really that necessary or important in my diet, so as much as they taste good, I don't really eat that many of them and of course they have that extra benefit of protein and definitely some vitamins and minerals there, I don't feel like they're crucial. And plenty of people get by with nut allergies. And in terms of fruits and just a fruit sensitivity to things including avocado, I mean, just eat all the vegetables out there and the grains, and use some fresh herbs, and you can create incredible dishes. And I think that if we get so afraid of our constrictions here, then it becomes really overwhelming. But when you look at a list like this and you think about all the foods you can eat, it really opens up your eyes and you can start to think of all these great dishes you can make. I do recommend, as was really talked about in the last Q&A in which Jason Robel was a guest, that you get tested and you talk with a specialist. I definitely say pick up this book, because this could be a great starting point for you. As I said in my video about the book club, I wish I had this book 10 years ago when I first started having allergy symptoms, because I didn't know what was going on. And I got tested for things, but doctors didn't really have any answers for me. So now I'm becoming a lot more aware of it, and I'm going to seek out doctors that have different specialties and different methods of testing. And I am really already experienced with my sensitivities, and I understand them in a new way that doctors weren't really able to decipher because they weren't digging in. So I didn't really go to the right doctor at the beginning to help me out. So I highly recommend you find a doctor. Maybe you have to go to a few until you start getting answers. And it really helps to read a book like this to be able to walk into the doctor and say, I found this. Do you think that that's part of it or something like that? I think that when we try to self-diagnose, or we know we have something, let's say you've already been tested for something, if you don't have a support system in place there, you're going to feel alone, you're going to feel overwhelmed, and it's going to feel really confusing and frightening to you. So I just say do as much research as you possibly can, and it's definitely possible to eat a plant-based diet even with food sensitivities. It's a super short answer to both those questions. But I really want to inspire everybody watching to start to figure out their bodies and do it through lots of reading and going to doctors that have the specialties and the knowledge that are really going to be able to help you. I've definitely found that most of the standard Western doctors I've been to have no idea, and they were never helpful to me. It really wasn't until I approached it from a natural perspective that I was actually able to figure out what was going on with me and feel a lot better. Moving on, Diane asked, do you have a favorite facial cleanser and daily type face lotion with SPF that you recommend? You know, I switch up my facial cleansers really often, very frequently. I haven't found one that I'm like madly in love with, and I happen to have a very easy complexion, so aside from washing off makeup and things like that, it's not that big of a deal. I could actually just not wash my face and I probably wouldn't really break out. So for me, it's like, it's more of a burden to wash my face at night. But I like to switch it up a lot, and I've noticed that these next products I'm going to recommend all pretty much work the same. I say as long as it's vegan and it's natural, if you can recognize the ingredients, do a little bit of research, go to the EWG Skin Deep website. I'll put that up on the showcase for anyone watching live, and I'll also link to it below, of course. This website is one of the best resources out there, and I recommend it anytime a discussion happens around body care. It's super important to check to make sure that the ingredients in your products are safe for you. Just because it's vegan does not mean that it's safe, and sometimes just because it's organic doesn't mean that it's safe. This company approached me to review their products recently, and I was checking them out, and I was actually a little horrified. They call themselves organic, and they make it seem like they're, super clean. But when I really dug in to what ingredients they were using, I found at least one ingredient in every single product they were using that I was not comfortable with, that had a lot of iffy subject matters and articles written about it and all sorts of things. And I felt kind of sad because there's probably a lot of people using products like this that don't realize that it has ingredients that have long-term health effects, or possibly could, right? The reason I love the EWG website is that you can go in and put in almost any major brand, and it'll tell you on a scale of 1 to 10 how safe it is, 1 or 0 being the best case scenario. And you really just have to decide for yourself what your comfort level is. That company, I'm not going to name the name, but generally the one I just mentioned with the organic brand, generally it's probably fine, and it probably isn't going to cause any major damage to you, but I'm personally just not comfortable using it or recommending it, and it really comes down to how you feel. So these next 3 products are insanely clean, and I've done a lot of research on both of them. One is so clean that you could literally eat it. Bare Bones. They have this amazing line of products made out of a kitchen in Los Angeles, and I've known the girl that makes these for a few years, and when she told me about her new line, I was so thrilled, and now they've been featured on Vegan Cuts, and they're starting to get more exposure. She has a really nice cleanser, and all it is vegetable glycerin, rose water, and tea tree oil. Just 3 ingredients, 2 of which you might have used in your kitchen before. And the tea tree oil is a major staple in my healthy living world, and technically I could make this myself. I've actually tried to make another product of hers that I'll mention, and it didn't come out quite the same. So even though, yes, you can make this yourself, a lot of people don't want to. They don't know what the measurements are, or they're too lazy. These are so inexpensive. They're like a little under $10, and they last forever. I've had this for a really long time. Just a tiny little bit goes a long way, and they're in glass, which I really like. Another similar company that is starting to get some good press, and I actually found out about through Vegan Cuts, is Fanciful Fox, and they make this incredible cleanser called Black Magic, and this has actually been designed for oily and problematic skin, although I still love it. It is a cleanser scrub cake that looks really scary, but smells incredible and works really well. You just take a tiny little pinch and you rub it into your hand with some water and put it on your face, and it exfoliates, and it's got all these great ingredients in it that you can mainly recognize or not feel too afraid of. This one has sweet almond meal, avocado oil, clay, a couple different types of clay, Dead Sea mud, glycerin, black sand, essential oils, potassium sorbate, ascorbic acid, vitamin C, citric acid, and love. And this brand is so cool. They also make this incredible lip balm that I'm obsessed with. It's like a lemon flavor. I think it's called like lemon pie, and this is one of the best chapsticks, lip balms I've ever used. So I really love Fanciful Fox, and they're also available on Vegan Cuts, so I will link to that as well. And lastly, this company got introduced because of OGO, and OGO sells superfoods, and now they also sell this line called Mishki. And I tried it out just as a sample, and I really like this. I checked every single ingredient. They weren't on most of these small companies won't be on that EWG database, so I had to enter in the ingredients one by one, and I couldn't find anything wrong with it. It's still a really short list, and the names are a little bit more scary sounding, but I've checked them and they're clean. My mom really loves this, so I bought her some of this before, and they have lotions and all of that. So I like these, and if you're buying things from OGO or Ultimate Superfoods website anyways, you might want to get some of this stuff. But those are the 3 that are in my cabinet right now, and I have really been enjoying. In terms of moisturizer and face lotion, Bare Bones also makes an amazing moisturizer made from shea butter, olive oil, and coconut oil, all organic. This is the one I've made by myself before, and the consistency never came out quite the same, so I don't know what Monica's doing, but she's doing something really cool and magical in her kitchen. I'm sure you could make it yourself if you wanted to, but you know, each of those ingredients can be really expensive when you buy them on their own. Shea butter is a cool thing to have around anyways, and if you happen to, you'll probably have olive oil and coconut oil, so definitely try making it, or you can just use straight up coconut oil on your own, which is often what I do for moisturizer. But I have to say, she did a really good job with the consistency on this, and it's just super creamy, and it smells amazing, and it lasts forever. It's in glass. Put this all over my body. I really, really love that. As far as something with an SPF goes, I've mentioned this product so many times in my Q&As, but I'll mention it again. My favorite is Suntegrity, and they make a natural moisturizer and facial sunscreen, and it also is tinted, so you get a nice little evening out of your skin, and it has the SPF of, what is it, 30 in it. So this is great if you're going to be out in the sun for a good part of the day and you want some protection there. So this would be my #1 recommendation for that. And of course, all those products will be linked down below in the description fields for you to check out if you want to purchase any of those. The other question in this category was from Jila or Gia. What are your thoughts on underwear? Can they be more eco-friendly, or should I just make sure to recycle them? Absolutely, can they be eco-friendly. I highly recommend organic underwear for men and for women, because if you think about it, do you want to put underwear on your body that has chemicals on it? I mean, that's like one of the most sensitive parts of our body, one of the most important parts of our body, and why would you put chemicals by it, especially for women? I mean, that is right up against us and can potentially get inside, and it's scary. So I highly recommend from a health and an environmental standpoint to use organic underwear to buy that. That's all I buy now. I still have underwear that was not organic from the past. It doesn't make sense to me to throw it out or recycle it if it's not ready to go. But I guess it's been washed enough that it's probably fine at a certain point, right? But when you first buy underwear, it's like, if it's not organic, who knows what that has been through. So I just think from a health standpoint, organic all the way. And you know, it's an investment, but let's be honest, underwear does last a long time in most cases. I mean, I've had underwear for years and years, right? I mean, you buy it once, maybe even if it's $30 or something, as some nice organic underwear might be, it's still an investment, you know, and I'm not recommending that you buy like 20 pairs of it at that price. Maybe just start with a couple at a time and look for sales and all of that. And I have a couple brand. I don't know if it's $30. That might be, that's probably like way overpriced. Let me see. This next brand, I'll put it up on the screen for you. I really, really love, and they're actually available in Whole Foods. Not only are they organic, but I think that everything is also fair trade. And let me see here, how much are their pieces? They're $17, and actually they have a sale on some that are only $10. I'm going to put this up on the website. This company is called Pact, P-A-C-T, and here's some that I recommend that I have. I think they're super cute. I love this pattern, and they have all types. They have the thongs. They have, I think this is considered the bikini. They have, what else? You know, all different styles for men and for women. The boy shorts, the hipster, the thong, the bikini, whatever style you like. These are super cute and really comfortable. This is probably like my favorite pair of underwear, actually, for everyday wear. And yeah, $17. Let's see. Now they're in the showcase if you're watching live. $17, $10. Some of them look like they might be, oh, they have 2-packs that are $22 for everyday wear for women. So, you know, I would say start with that. Get the 2-pack, get 2 pairs of them. Start slowly weaning out your old pairs. But when you're buying new underwear, highly recommend organic all the way for men and for women. And Pact, I think, is one of the only companies I know that is super accessible. You can buy online, you can buy in Whole Foods. They're definitely getting the word out about their stuff, so they're great. Another company that I have liked over the years is called Fairies Dance, and I did a video on them a couple years ago, and I have a few pairs of their products. They are mainly for, or entirely for women, perhaps. Oh, no, they have men's. Okay, I didn't realize this. They definitely market to women, but they do have men's items as well, and they're up in the showcase now if you're watching live. And I highly recommend that you check out the video. I reviewed some of their underwear and their bras and talked all about this company and why I love them. They're definitely going to be a little bit more on the expensive side, but let's see how much they cost approximately. Oh, they're actually not that bad. They have organic bikini panties for women for $12, string bikinis for $11, and the nicer, there's this one called the soy lace bikini. That's another one of my favorites. I should have brought that over here, but it's $18 and it's super pretty and so comfortable. I love, love, love that one. So whenever I need to stock up, I usually go to them or I go to Pact. So those are the two I recommend. When your underwear is no longer wearable, I would try to recycle it. If you're comfortable with it and it's well washed, you could turn it into a rag or something. But yes, definitely dispose of them properly. But when you buy new ones, organic all the way. All right, one more question, and then I'm going to jump into your live questions. So get them ready at google.com/+ecovegangal. Type them in right now so they're all ready for me to answer. The last question here comes from Avia, I believe. I watched the video on reusable straws, which I'm definitely going to go out and buy for myself. I was wondering if you have a suggestion for a good water bottle. I don't want to waste plastic bottles. If you have any suggestions for an eco-friendly and efficient water bottle, I would love to know your opinion. Absolutely. I have a lot of brands that I love. Probably the most beloved brand of all is Clean Canteen, mainly because of this specific bottle, which is entirely plastic-free. And I did a little interview with them years ago when I first got this bottle, and it's been through the ringer with me. It's got dents, it's got little chips up on the cap, but it's still in awesome condition. And I just love that it's entirely plastic-free. And I think to this day, nobody, maybe I've met like one other company that's plastic-free. It's still very rare. And most companies are using, as I'll show you in the next one, are using some sort of plastic in their cap. But this is entirely stainless steel with a bamboo top and a silicone ring. And it's been great. I really, really love this. And they make bottles in all shapes and sizes. Another company that I recently got into was Hydro Flask. And I really love this one. I have to say it's kind of taken priority over the Clean Canteen, but maybe just because it's new. There's a couple of cool things. The downside is that it's got the plastic top. But what I love about it is I love the rim here. It's super nice to drink out of, a little bit better than the Clean Canteen, but it's also insulated. And this can actually keep, I believe, hot beverages warm, like piping hot, for 12 hours. I'm not kidding. I know people that have put like coffee in here and closed it and come back hours and hours later, and it was just as hot as when it went in. And with cold beverages, I think that they can be cold for up to 24. Maybe it's the other way around. I don't remember off the top of my head, but one of them's 12 hours and one of them's 24, and I'm guessing it's the way I said it. So super great if you're traveling a lot, if you're on the road, if you're out and about a ton, and you get frustrated that when things get cold too fast or hot too fast. These are so great. They told me when I got this that the company did directly, said that they know people that have been out in like 80-degree days and put like ice cold water in, and they'll leave it on top of their car and it'll still be cold when they come back. That's how good it is. I do have to say that Clean Canteen also has an insulated, and I think I have one of those, but I don't know. They're very similar companies. They just kind of have different designs and different approaches to things. So either way, Clean Canteen or Hydro Flask, they're kind of, I would guess, in competition with each other. I have found Clean Canteen, the people behind it, to be a little nicer, although I just met the Hydro Flask people recently. So who knows? Maybe it takes some time to warm up to them. What else was I going to say about them? They both make all shapes and sizes. They make them for kids. They make them bigger and tinier and wider and all types of options there. And you can find, I've been seeing Hydro Flask a lot in Whole Foods, and I think that Clean Canteen probably is too. In most natural markets and definitely online, so I will link to that below. Another great option is glass. There are some really great glass bottles going around. One is Life Factory, and there's this other, I keep forgetting the name of them, but what's cool is they have like silicone wraps around them, or sometimes they'll use plastic, and they're protective so that if the bottle happens to drop, in most cases it won't break unless it's a really hard impact. And I like drinking out of glass because it doesn't have the taste of stainless steel. Sometimes stainless steel can have a little bit of a a funky taste, and they're easier to clean because you can see through them. I find sometimes it's a little frustrating to clean stainless steel. So I do like glass, and glass is also allergen friendly. I recently found out that some people are sensitive to things like stainless steel, and it can cause various metal sensitivities and reactions in your body. So I definitely want to drink more out of glass. You could, of course, reuse bottles like this. So if you get a product like Kevita, you could just use this for a water bottle. But it kind of got the impression from the woman who asked that she might do a lot of outdoorsy stuff. I wouldn't recommend glass. I'll tell you that I brought this with me when I was hiking in Arizona last year, and I dropped this from a super high place. I was in, what's the name for it? I was climbing along the side of a rock, and so it had the inlet. What is that called? And it dropped probably at least 30 feet down to the bottom, and I barely got any dents on it. So stainless steel bottles are definitely ideal. Glass, there's no way that would have survived even with the silicone outside of it. So if you're doing a lot of outdoor stuff, I would say go with that. I'm trying to think if there's another. I feel like I'm missing. Of course there's plastic, but just don't do it. Even if it's BPA free, just don't. If you have it, just start saving that for glass or stainless steel, and then recycle that plastic. I wouldn't continue using it that long. There's too many issues with it, from health concerns to also environmental destruction and all of that. Sadly, even if you recycle those bottles, they still don't really, we don't know what happens to them in a lot of cases. So say no to those two. Of course, stainless steel can be challenging, but I believe you can just melt this down afterwards. And glass is a lot easier to work with in a lot of cases. But be mindful of not only how it's going to affect your health and how long it's going to last, but what's going to happen when you're done with it is really important. And if the company you're buying from is very eco-minded, that's an extra plus, as opposed to companies that just love the design and just want to market off of you. I think that's why Clean Canteen has always really appealed to me, is the people behind the brand are so passionate and nice and really seem like they're trying to make the world a eco-friendlier place. All right, well, that is the answers to the questions today. As usual, I encourage you to chime in. So whether you're watching live or the recording, go to YouTube and comment as well. Let me know what bottles you love, and if I'm forgetting something, if there are any other eco-friendly underwear companies out there that you love, if what are your favorite facial cleansers that you've checked to make sure the ingredients are super clean, and how have you dealt with any allergies in your life? What are your favorite foods to eat that are allergy-free? I would love to hear from you there. And now let's jump in to see if we have any questions coming in live. All right, we do have a few here. And remember, if you want to ask your question, please ask at google.com/+EcoVeganGal. Click on the live link and ask away in the Q&A app. So David asked, can you recommend any resources for info about essential oils and how to use them? Have you had any experience using them? I've been vegan for about 6 months now and love your videos. Thank you, David. Yes, I actually did a video, and if you've new to my channel, which I think you are, I did a video at the very end of 2013. It might have been posted on the first day of the year. It was about an essential oil company called Well Scent, and in the video I was reviewing their products but also talking about the benefits of essential oils and specific types of oils within their products. So even if you don't decide to buy from them specifically, I still recommend that video because I went into depth about the whole topic. So check that one out. That has been one of my main experiences with essential oils. I have, had essential oils in and out of my life. I haven't really used them from a healing or medicinal perspective. I usually just use essential oils because I like the way they smell on my skin. However, actually I take that back. I have used essential oils when I have allergy flare-ups, and Well Scent makes one that's really good for that. They also make one that's great to take if you're traveling to help, fend off any potential viruses or stuff getting into your body. I've actually used them for soothing, so I completely take that back. I've used essential oils on and off. I just haven't ever gotten super passionate about that. I know a number of people who are really into companies like doTERRA, and what's the other one called? There's a couple big essential oil companies out there. Only thing I would say, and I hope I don't offend anyone by saying this, but I've found that with the influx of companies that are people that can join these companies like doTERRA to sell, I'm always a little hesitant because at the end of the day they're trying to sell their products. So when you're learning about essential oils, I would really recommend trying to find a neutral source as opposed to somebody who's an affiliate or somebody who is working with a brand or something. While their passion is there and their knowledge is there, it's still coming from a place of trying to sell them. So if you can find a book about essential oils or a great website about essential oils that's not loaded with affiliate links, or any kind of like just more informational versus a salesy perspective, I would start there and then decide if you want to go with a brand like doTERRA or with Well Scent, which isn't the same as doTERRA. It's just the two essential oil companies that come to mind. I would also make sure that you're getting them from wild-crafted or organic sources. I don't remember if doTERRA is like that. But yeah, do your research as much as you can before you decide where to buy. I tend to like to buy my essential oils from, Whole Foods or a natural market or something, because I just am personally put off by all of the marketing around brands like doTERRA because it feels too in my face, and that always makes me a little uncomfortable and skeptical. But I personally don't have that much of an opinion of the brand outside of that. So I just would say, get it as neutral as possible, and even in the Well Scent video that I did, it's all about Well Scent. So you can use it as a jumping off point, but don't use that just to make up your mind about a brand, I guess, is what I'm saying there. All right, what else do we have here? So Susanna asked, I think I'm getting ready to start a yoga class since it's 5 minutes away. Do you recommend a mat that is eco-friendly, and any tips for starting yoga? Absolutely. Well, one of my favorite brands throughout the years has been Jade, Jade. They make a really wonderful mat. They have a great reputation for that, made of natural materials. I know that there are a few other brands. There's, it's funny, this was part of a talk that I did recently, and I outlined all of the brands, but now it's all going out of my brain. I can't remember, but there are a number of brands out there. I might need to come back to you on this one in terms of all the details and maybe just put it in the description field. I know that there's another company, I think they're just called like Natural Yoga or something like that, and they make some things. Again, as I kind of mentioned with the essential oils, they all kind of have different levels, so you need to decide how much you want to invest and how eco-friendly you want to get. Someone like Jade is going to be more expensive, but they're a smaller brand and they have a huge emphasis on sustainability. Whereas Natural Yoga, I think that's the name of their company. I've always gotten the impression that they're a little bit more on the markety side, and I'm not quite sure if their quality is quite as strong as Jade. Just to give you guys a background, one thing that I do in my work is I go to a lot of events and I go to shows like the Natural Products Expo, and I interact with all these companies. So when I was talking about Clean Canteen versus Hydro Flask and Jade versus Natural Yoga or Natural Fitness, it might be the name of that company, I always am very tuned into the people behind the brands, because that says so much about them, and I can tell when they're just trying to sell versus like really laid back or super passionate without an emphasis on like selling it. They're more emphasizing on the benefits and the roots of it and why they started it, and to me, I'm very attracted to that, and I think that's why I get turned off of companies like doTERRA. It's like, tell me why this is so beneficial and how it's good for the environment and how it's good for my health. Don't just try to get me to buy the brand. I've noticed with companies like doTERRA, it's like, buy doTERRA. It's like, well, tell me why first, and then I'll consider buying it. I'm that type of consumer, because for me, it needs to be the highest quality. I'm not about buying things just because they're popular and just because they're, you know, a big brand or something, I want to know what exactly is making them so good. To me, that's like greenwashing. And I've always felt a little skeptical of that natural fitness or natural yoga brand for that reason. I definitely got that impression. I could be wrong, but compared to Jade, for instance, even though they're pricier, I can tell you there's like a purity to them, and they have this amazing reputation. And I personally use their mat, and it's amazing. They make these super thick yoga mats that are just incredible. There are a few other brands. I think Manduka makes pretty solid eco-friendly mats, and I think that those are the top 3, but I'll get back to you on that one because I have a ton of notes on this that I can share with you. And if you want to bring it up for a future Q&A, maybe I can do a little feature on that. But and tips in general, I think it's fantastic. You're so lucky to have a yoga studio so close to you, so take advantage of it. Walk there. Awesome. My yoga place is close, but it's like a 30-minute walk and a 5-minute drive, so it depends. I found that it was too stressful for me to walk there because it took so much time to invest in yoga, and time for me is a reason why I won't go. So if it doesn't take a lot of time, I will go. So I feel like that's really important to figure out what your priorities are and get into kind of a routine with it. I really find that signing up for a membership and having that reoccurring fee is a really important thing for me because it encourages me to go so I don't waste my money. And also finding classes that I really look forward to. Sometimes classes, if they're too challenging or they're not challenging enough, I don't look forward to them and then I won't go. So I keep trying different teachers and different styles until I find a class that I get so thrilled to go to and I have an amazing experience at that I want to go to over and over and over again. So I really say yoga is an experiment. In terms of products, your main thing that you need for yoga is a mat, as well as some eco-friendly clothing. So finding organic clothing when you can. There are so many companies out there. There's this great one called Prana. There's everything is going out of my head right now, but there are several really great organic brands, and I have them all written down that I can share with you. So how about this, Susanna? If you write this, put it in the Q&A form, the bit.ly link, so you can submit questions. If you could do that for me, I will do this. I will address this fully, and not just off the top of my head, but I will have the whole list ready to answer this question and give you all the brands and all the recommendations for making your whole practice eco-friendly, because I did a whole hour talk on this, so I have a lot of information to share, and I'll dull it down to like a 5-minute quick tips for you. But I think that's a good place to get started. All right. So Naomi asked a couple questions. Let's see with her first one. I'm 20 now, and I've been vegan since a little over a year ago so far. Well, that was mainly just a compliment, but thank you so much for saying all that. That's so sweet. And one of the first videos she watched of mine was about supporting imperfect companies like Silk, and I loved it. And I wonder if you can do a live video where you go more into depth with that topic and everyone can chime in. Absolutely. So for those of you who aren't familiar with this, last year I did a video because I was going to partner up with Silk, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it, and I wanted to kind of get a perspective on it. The reason I was hesitant to do this is because, you know, Silk definitely has some downsides as a brand. They're a company I actually haven't supported much over the years, but they did launch they were one of the first companies to start doing like coffee drinks. And I thought this was so cool because so many people drink coffee and there's all these like milk-based coffee products out there, but Silk was one of the first to do a dairy-free coffee option, and I really wanted to support them in that. So I partnered up in a really small campaign with them. But before I did that, I did a video talking about Silk and whether or not we should be supporting companies like that have some drawbacks. And in the video I outline, the pros and cons of Silk as a brand, and that's just a background on what Naomi is referring to here, and I think it would be a really cool video to do live and have more discussion on, because this comes up from time to time. People will ask me why I partner up with certain brands, and everybody has a criticism. It's like what I've been saying about brands like doTERRA and stuff. For me, there are drawbacks to certain brands, and sometimes they're super hyped up in the market, but there's drawbacks to them. I'm not saying that I don't really know much about doTERRA, to be honest, but I'm just using them as an example of a company that I've always been like, not so sure about you. And that could be the same category as Silk, or that could be the same category as that yoga company I mentioned, where if you see their names too much and then you hear people talking bad about them and people talking really good about them, it becomes really confusing. And at the end of the day, these companies are really just like us as humans. They're, of course, not perfect. No company is perfect. There's drawbacks to pretty much anything. But I think the main point is, should we be supporting companies that are offering, let's say, vegan products, but also partnered up with or owned by a bigger company that sells dairy products? That would be the case with Silk. And should we support them, or should we boycott them and support just vegan companies? Should we support brands like doTERRA that offer amazing essential oils, but again, I don't remember if they're organic or not, but let's just say they're not. Should we still support them even though they're not perfectly organic and pure? I could go on and on about examples here, right? Like, should we support this company if they're not perfectly eco-friendly? And usually I will say we should support them, because my feeling is that if we don't support companies and we always complain about how they're not doing this, this, and that, then there's like going to be nobody left. And if we're trying to be 100% pure and we're trying to be, perfect vegans or perfect environmentalists or perfect health people, we're going to be at a loss with having not much less to buy or not much less to have in our world. And in the example of Silk, for me, I thought Silk is doing something really great because they're one of the very few vegan companies that's accessible almost anywhere, right? So love them or not, the fact that they're making dairy-free living easier for the masses, I think, is awesome. I would say the same thing about doTERRA, even though I've had my skepticism around them, right, for whatever reason. It could just be a subliminal thing that I'm not aware of. But they're making essential oils available for the masses. They've got so much attention and so many passionate people around them. That's awesome. And I would say amazing. I'm not going to knock them. That's certainly not my intention. I definitely will tell you when I'm not a fan of something, or I think that there's a lot of cons to something, but that doesn't mean that I don't support them in some ways, if that makes sense. I feel like it's important for us to have an open dialogue about how companies can improve and what is a turnoff for us, but for us to spend a lot of time talking about how bad they are and we got to boycott them and this and that and you shouldn't buy them, and we spend all this negative energy complaining about companies. My perspective is, let's focus on what they're doing right. Let's focus on how we can suggest them to improve. That, to me, is creating a lot more positive energy. So, Naomi, I don't know if you're suggesting that I talk about just what I just talked about, or if you were suggesting that I do a whole separate video about this. I certainly am open to that, and I would love to address this more. The last thing I'll say here is, this came up on my Uncensored channel. For those of you who don't know, I have a separate channel called Eco Vegan Gal Uncensored, and I'm very outspoken about things on there. It's really like, oftentimes it'll be just me sharing like what's going on in my life, but sometimes I get really fired up about a subject and I just go off about it. It's kind of like rants, right? And recently, I haven't posted it yet, but somebody had asked me why I had partnered up with an insurance company, and I thought that goes completely against your standpoint, and I really should make that video public, because I just address like why I would work with a company like that, and that'll come up a lot. The bigger the Eco Vegan Gal brand gets, the more opportunities I have to work with these bigger companies, and it's always this kind of internal struggle of, should I work with them even though they're not 100% in alignment with where I stand from? And a lot of the times I say yes, because as was the case with this insurance company, it was an amazing opportunity to educate their audience about the advantages of the vegan lifestyle. It's not just about it's not usually about my audience being introduced to them. It's usually the other way around. I wanted to get their audience introduced to the vegan and eco-friendly perspective. And that was ultimately why I did the soak video, is I realized it wasn't for my audience. That video was for new people. That video was for people who are brand new to veganism. That video was for people that drink dairy-based coffee all the time and might be looking for a healthier alternative. So it's also about who we're talking to and what our mission is. And my mission is to help as many people as possible open their minds to a healthier way of life. And when, you know, companies, again, I'll just use doTERRA one more time as an example. Regardless of how I feel about them personally, I think companies like that are amazing because they're helping people get healthier. And at the end of the day, if people can get healthier, we are making a huge, huge difference in this planet. And yeah, that's a passionate subject for me, as you can see. So maybe we'll take this conversation somewhere else. Maybe we'll do this on the Eco Vegan Uncensored channel, or I'll address it in a whole separate video. So thanks for getting me fired up, Naomi. Obviously, I have a lot to say on that. And Debbie just chimed in about the doTERRA as well, just saying that because they're multi-level marketing, they should be suspect. And I agree. I mean, that's the thing for me is it is a drawback when it's part of a multi-level. I don't know is doTERRA technically a multi-level marketing? I know there are different types, right? There's MLMs, and then there's like you can be an affiliate or you can just be part of the company. I don't know. Again, doTERRA has always been very confusing to me, and I think it's confusing because it feels so salesy. And that to me is like, okay, why is it so sale? Why, you know, like, why are they pushing this in my face? You know what I mean? And that's the sad thing to me about companies like that is I feel like they spend so much time marketing themselves and not enough telling me why I should buy it. And it's like it's hidden. It's if you were to just come up to me and be like, we've got this and we're certified in this, this, and that, and we're eco-friendly for this, this, and that reason, and we're healthy, you know, like, tell me all about that stuff and then try to sell it to me. That's like marketing 101, right? And I feel like if it feels like people are always just trying to make money off of something, it ruins the experience of a product. And I would say this to anybody out there, if you're ever thinking of selling your products or something, start with why. Actually, there's a really great book that I'm reading with that exact title. It's on my stand back there. We always need to start with why before we want to buy, right? So anyways, that's a whole other thing. But Debbie was just chiming in, is that there are a lot of other down-to-earth essential oil companies that are just selling their oils. Like that's why I was really trying to do Well Scent. You can feel the passion. Obviously, they're still trying to make money and be a profitable company, but there's a whole nother energy to it, and it's like it's just an incredible experience when you go to their website and when you try their products and you read like details upon details and the full disclosure and the full transparency there. That's what I'm personally attracted to. Let's see here. Going through. Sometimes the comments are amongst, or questions are amongst our comments. Cool. So Catherine just stopped by to say thanks for the help last week and looking for the boots, and she found some great boots that helped her volunteer at a horse farm. That is really awesome, Catherine. I'm really glad that you asked that question last week because I learned a lot about great vegan boots out there, and I'm so glad that you found a pair that you love. Okay. So username Alex1616 asked, have you ever come across a medical condition which makes it impossible for a person to go vegan? And this person is writing from Croatia. Thank you for chiming in. I haven't yet, honestly. I think about that sometimes, but pretty much anytime someone has argued against veganism, I've heard some really solid contradictions to that. So While I don't think that, well, actually I should say it this way. I don't know for sure if vegan is 100%, is it possible for 100% of the population? I don't know. I think, as was addressed in the last Q&A, that we have to really think about biodiversity and bioindividuality, meaning that each of us are different, right? And we can't guarantee that one thing's going to work for everybody else. Yeah, I guess the point being, I've never met anyone that convinced me that it was impossible for them to go vegan, and I haven't read about it. There's certainly a lot of talk about that, and there's a lot of people who are against veganism, and there are people that strongly believe that they can't go vegan. But every time I've read about that stuff, there's usually holes in their logic. And I'm not a doctor or nutritionist or dietitian. Like, I'm not looking at this from a medical perspective or expertise in that sense. I'm just basing it off of all the research that I've done. And I research this constantly, and it just doesn't seem like there's that much evidence that people can't go vegan. I am willing to be proven wrong there, and I certainly, like I said, I've heard a lot of very close calls, but it seems like the people that didn't have success going vegan, there was something going on with them where they weren't getting all the nutrients that they needed because they didn't know what was going on with their body. And as in the last Q&A this was addressed, it's so important for us to get blood work done. It's really important for us to consult true health experts in order to live and flourish. So if you're sick, if you're having trouble eating certain foods, that's why I'm so passionate about this book I've mentioned several times today. Dr. Susan Bennett, basically her history was that her son, from 3 months old, was really sick. And this is not a vegan book, but it kind of ties into that whole idea. She actually started her whole journey about 20 years ago when her son got sick. And she had to go to doctor after doctor after doctor and dedicate her whole life to understanding allergies until she started to really get it, right? And now she's become this phenomenal resource. And so she's an amazing woman because she decided to embark on this whole journey of really understanding the body and really understanding our environment and toxins and all of that. And I feel like most people don't do that. Most people just want to go the easy way. They just want to do what everyone else is doing, whatever their doctor recommends, whatever the mainstream recommends. They're just like, make it easy on me. And veganism can be challenging for some people. I think that it's relatively easy, but you still need to understand your body, and you still need to do your research, and you still need to make adjustments in your life, and not everybody is willing to do that. Some people really don't want to do it anymore. I've definitely met a number of people who have said, one day I just woke up craving meat, and I went back to it. Okay, that's fair enough. If that's what you want, go for it. But these people usually haven't gone to the doctor to figure out why they were craving meat. They weren't getting their blood tested. They just thought, I'm craving that, so I'll eat it. Well, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But does that mean it's impossible for you to be vegan? I'm not so sure. So until I meet somebody who said, it's impossible for me to go vegan, and here's why, and here's all the tests that I had done, and here's all the different doctors I went to, and this is how hard I tried, those are the type of people that I would be most interested in. But most of the time I feel like the people that go back to eating meat and dairy, there's some part of them that secretly kind of wants to, or doesn't want to put the effort into really figuring out what's going on. And that's definitely like a blanket statement, and it's not meant to be like a personal comment on people. It's more just like my opinion. I just, it would, if I were one day to wake up eating meat, the first thing I would do would be to go get blood tests done, and I would do whatever it took to figure out why I had that craving. I can't imagine going back to eating meat and dairy. And it's not from just a ethical standpoint. This is coming from a health and environmental standpoint. And it's not coming from a stubborn standpoint either. It feels right to me. I feel so in harmony. So it would just seem crazy for me to eat those foods again. So I would fight against it as hard as I possibly could. It would probably take a long time for someone to convince me that it was no longer possible for me to be vegan. All right. Okay, so Michael asked, I'm looking for more meat substitutes like Neat. Have you tried it? Yes, I have tried Neat. Neat is a meat alternative made from, I think, pecans and I think beans of some sort. I forget, but it's gluten-free and it's soy-free. And it comes in a powdered form, and you can make meatballs and taco meats and all sorts of stuff. I have mixed feelings about Neat, just to be completely honest. The first time I had it at the Natural Products Expo, and I thought it was incredible, and I was just so into it. And I've had it a few times since there, and it tasted so good. Sadly, when I got some at home and I tried to make it, it was really bad. And I don't know what I did, but it didn't taste anything like it did when I tried it at the expo. So I'm not sure. It's definitely possible for that meat to taste spectacular. I just have no idea. Apparently they have some videos up online now where you can figure out how to make it taste well. It's really just a matter of using the right, I think, egg replacer and maybe the right oils. You have to add a few things into it and then cook it a certain way, but I've found a few people that have struggled with making it taste right, and then it's like, if something's going to be that challenging, that's a turn off to a lot of people. I want something that's going to be pretty simple or kind of like guaranteed to work well, and here's the bullet points to get it to taste right. You know, in terms of meat substitutes, there are so many out there. There's seitan, which is made from wheat. It looks and tastes so much like meat. There's tons of soy meats, wheat-based meats. There are lots of meats that are made from beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, various vegetables. There's so many options out there. Personally, I don't need any of them anymore, though, because a lot of them tend to be processed or complicated or hard to find or something, and I don't really crave them. Sometimes I'll have them when I eat out, but usually my main meat substitute would be tempeh. Tempeh is a fermented soybean, and I love the texture. It can be flavored so well, and it's very, very satisfying, filling, has lots of protein and other vitamins and minerals, plus probiotics. It's really good for our gut. So that's like my favorite, but otherwise I just eat lots of fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, legumes, and that's really satisfying for me. I think when you're new to veganism, or if you're still craving meat products, go for it. Try as many of the meat substitutes as you would like. There's some in the frozen food section, there's some in the vegan section, or like the prepared food section. There's things like Beyond Meat, which can be really tasty, and you know, Gardein can be really good as well. You'll have to just see if they upset your stomach or not. Some of those products are processed and they contain GMOs, so you want to check if those are important for you to see what they're made from. And you know, they have really long ingredient lists, and that to me is a turn-off. That doesn't mean I won't have them from time to time. I love the way that those products taste, but they don't make me feel that good. I found that eating a more whole foods plant-based diet is more complementary to my diet, and you kind of just have to transition, right? Of course, those burgers and those chicken and fish and what all the other alternatives out there taste really good. So if you're just after taste, try them all until you find the one that you love. But if you're after health, I would say simplify it as much as possible. And it also tends to be a nice environmental benefit because a lot of those products are way overpackaged. That to me would be a plus to Neat, because Neat has a very short ingredient list, and it's in a plastic bag, but that bag could make several servings of it, so it can last a while. And if I remember correctly, it's pretty affordable as well compared to what you get. So yeah, I think if you can get Neat to taste good, that would probably be one of my top recommendations for a substitute. All right, lots of comments and questions today. Thank you all. Let's see here. Yeah, so Alex said that it's challenging to find a specialist and doctors around where you live. I'm sure in Croatia, it's it's very different from Los Angeles, right? in your case, I would say maybe you can find somebody that you can send your results to. If you can go to a local blood test facility, you can actually consult a doctor via phone or via Skype even. They just need your results for you to talk about it, right? So that doesn't mean that you can't just get your blood tested and then get the results back. Maybe you can consult a doctor before you get tested and they can tell you exactly what to get tested for. There are tests that you send in through the mail. There are spit tests, there are urine tests, there are hair tests, there's all types of tests that you can get that can be done from home. So I would try to explore those options, see if you can find people online that can help you out. All right, what else do we have here? Debbie also asked, what essential oil is your favorite? Well, I don't really have a favorite. I mean, I love certain, Evie, please don't do that. I love certain essential oils just for smells, but I don't have one that, again, like I still have so much to learn when it comes to essential oils, so I couldn't tell you from like a medicinal aspect if you're asking. But you know, I've just been using Well Scent a lot because I have their products from the review that I did, and they have like all these different combinations, and they smell so good. They do such a great job at combining different things together, and those are just what I use because that's what I have. But I also tend to really love lavender and rose and jasmine. Those are like my favorite for just like a nice scent on my skin. And if you check out that video I did on Well Scent, I talk about all the specific formulations. There was one called like Go-Go Sinus or something like that. Whatever the sinus blend that Well Scent made works really well for clearing up your sinuses. And they also have a really nice one for helping calming you down. I love everything they make, so you can't go wrong with those. I would check out that video because I don't remember the names of them all off the top of my head. Okay, and there's a few questions from David who chimed in. Let's see what else. I think most of these are probably just comments. I don't know what a York blood test is. It tells you what food your body doesn't like cow's milk and gluten. Yeah, I haven't quite jumped in to know the specifics of blood tests quite yet, but I will be doing that soon. I'm saving up my money, and then I'm going to go like full on and get tons of tests done. I'm so excited to do that. And if you want to learn more, that video with Jason Robel was really enlightening from that subject. You've also asked about Evie back there. Evie is a Jack Russell Terrier. And she's also vegan. She's been vegan almost her entire life. And she's about 5 years old. Let's see. Just going through a few more questions here. Brittany chimed in and asked, what is the best option when it comes to sanitary pads? I believe I covered this a few Q&As ago, Brittany, so I'll probably link to that because it's so hard for me to retain some of the lists that I come up with. But there is a company called NaturCare that makes organic. There's a few brands. There's like 3 or 4 brands out there. There's actually a really great reusable company called Glad Rags, and from an environmental and health standpoint, that would probably be the ideal, but you have to be comfortable with washing them. So you might want to get a couple so that you can rotate them and all of that. But I would check out those, and there is a list back in another video that I've done, so I will link to that one as well, talking about organic tampon companies and sanitary and all of that stuff. I also highly recommend menstrual cups if you're thinking about, or if you know, maybe getting comfortable. There's a great company called Soft Cup, Diva Cup. What's the other one called? I'm blanking on all sorts of things today. I probably haven't eaten enough food. My memory is not at sharpest today for some reason. What's the third one? I'm forgetting off the top of my head. I think there's another company called Luna Pads. There's so many to keep track of, but Glad Rags, Diva Cup, and Soft Cup, I would look into those from a reusable standpoint because those are all really wonderful. And then if you just want a type that you can throw away, definitely go for organic. And most natural markets carry at least one brand of organic sanitary pads, and Natural Care is a very common one. I think 7th Generation makes them, but due to the recent 7th Generation stuff, you might want to consider avoiding 7th Generation for a little while until we can figure that out. But that goes back to our whole imperfect company talk, and that's a whole other subject I'm not ready to address today. But you know, I guess that comes, the final thing I'll say about that is when it comes to picking companies, you just have to weigh out what you're personally comfortable with, and it can be things like availability, cost, durability, is it organic, is it reusable, are you comfortable using something reusable, and is it comfortable? You know, when it comes to products like that, you have to decide, do they work well with your body, do they fit your body, do they fit your lifestyle? It might be a little bit of a trial and error thing, and I haven't used disposable products for probably 5 or 6 years. I've just really enjoyed using the menstrual cups. They have fit my lifestyle in a lot of great ways. But thank you for asking. Definitely check out that past video. I'll link to it, but if you are eager to see it now, if you go to the YouTube channel for Eco Vegan Gal, you could type in like tampons, or you could type in menstruation or something like that, and there'll be at least a few videos on the subject. All right, well, I'm going to wrap things up now. If anybody else wants to chime in, let me make sure that David doesn't have any other questions. Let's see here. Oh, I'm so glad David just said that he got the book on allergies. I can't wait to hear what you think. I would love you to join the book club, too. And lastly, I think this is a great question. We can end here unless another question pops in. But David asked, how do we get the food industry to be honest and list what pesticides have been used on foods? You know, that's a tough one, David, and there's so many legal things and governmental things that go along with the food industry. And, you know, if you follow the GMO labeling issue, that's been such a struggle for companies to even fully disclose, and it's so sad. You know, going back to what I've been talking about in several of the questions here today, it's tough because companies, if they seem to focus too much on marketing their products, they're not telling us what's actually in them or how they're being made, and it's really sad. That's actually a huge reason why I go to the Natural Products Expo. I've mentioned it a few times, and if you aren't familiar with it, the Natural Products Expo is a private industry-only event, and it's just for people that work in the natural products industry. So it's not open to the public, although there are some other events out there like the Fancy Food Show that are similar to it, and I believe that is open to the public. But anyways, I go to the Natural Products Expo because I want to be able to talk to the companies and understand what's going on with them. This is certainly something that could be done via phone call or email or various other methods, but the Natural Products Expo is a really amazing way to go and talk one-on-one with the CEOs and the founders and developers and all of these people there. And I love going to these events because I get to really understand what's going on and have like intimate companies, and that's where I found companies to be most open and tend to really explain why they're doing certain things. I really feel like it's important for us to have those conversations. Social media is, of course, another great way. Not all companies are willing to disclose things, but you also might be surprised that you can get a really honest answer if you just email or mention somebody on social media or even call them up. Of course, it's a little bit more challenging to get, or maybe a lot more challenging to get answers from the big companies out there, but you also might be surprised what you can find out. There's a really great resource online called foodbabe.com, and my friend Vani runs that site. She has been incredibly successful because she actually goes after and investigates companies to find out what's actually in their products and disclose them. She was part of this massive campaign for Subway to take a certain ingredient out of the product, out of their breads. That was something that was also found in yoga mats. It was like a preservative or a stabilizer or something. And it took massive amounts of pressure for Subway to take this ingredient out, right? And I think the same thing is true with pesticides. If you're not buying organic or not buying non-GMO, mainly organic, right? Organic means there's no pesticides, herbicides, GMOs when it's certified, right? If you're not buying organic products, who knows what's in it? And I was just reading a book last night called, that I've mentioned before. Here it is. Let me pull it out. A really great resource for all of this is The Beginner's Guide to Natural Living by Larry Cook. And he goes really into depth. It's a little outdated, I would say, because so much has changed in the past few years. And this came out in 2005. But it's still a really good place if you're looking for another book to read. I'll link to this down below too. And he talks about pesticides and herbicides and how to avoid them. He talks about GMOs and the importance of organic and on and on. And I was just reading about this last night. I oftentimes will read a book over and over again until it absorbs in my brain. And you know, it is really sad when you read books like this that go into depth about what's happening and the impacts of pesticides on our products. At the end of the day, you vote with your dollar, and you also just have to be a really well-informed consumer if that stuff is important to you. I think it should be important to everyone, but not everyone wants to be bothered with that information. So I guess the only way that we can get the industries to change is to not buy their products until they change, and to express why we're not buying them. You know, should we support imperfect companies? That's really going to be a case-by-case basis, but if a company's using pesticides, I personally don't feel comfortable buying them until, you know, I find out more information. And yeah, it's really challenging to find like packaged products and whether or not they contain pesticides. So unless they're certified organics, I would say don't buy them. And it's another reason for us to grow our own food and to support organic farmers and to eat less packaged food too, because if it's not packaged and you're buying an organic vegetable from the farmer's market, it's like, all right, you have nothing to really worry about. But the sad thing is that the bigger these packaged companies get, you know, they have been allowed to not disclose what ingredients are on their food or in their food. And I think the tides are turning. I think we're starting to stand up and say, we want to know what's in our food and on our food. So the more that you can vocalize it and continue voting with your dollar, that to me is how things change. But never hesitate to reach out to a company, because you might be very surprised at the amount of impact that you can make and the answers that you might receive. I would also say getting involved with campaigns, getting involved with people like Vani from Food Babe. She's doing extraordinary things, and similar people are doing extraordinary things to make a difference. So if you want to make a difference, partner up with people that are really going for it and dedicating their lives to it. And I would encourage you to do that too if you're passionate about it. You know, Vani was somebody who started a website and wanted to make a difference in the world, and now she's all over the news and getting massive companies to change. So she's a perfect example of someone that has made a difference because she cares. All right, I've done a lot of rambling on topics today, so I'm going to wrap things up. But thank you to everyone who stayed with me live and everybody who's been watching the recording. Next week, I think, is I always get lost track of the dates, but if next week is the 23rd, which I think it is, I'm going to have a really awesome guest. Yes, next week I'm going to have Jenna Hamshaw from Choosing Raw on, which is sure to be really a great Q&A, because Jenna is amazing. She's such a fantastic resource for health and healthy eating and veganism, and she has so much to say, super juicy stuff. So I'm probably going to pull some questions that I've been reserving for her, but I also want to leave plenty of room for me to ask her questions related to her book, because she has some topics I think you guys are going to be so fascinated by. So get your questions in for that now so I can start compiling that together for her. And then after that, I think on the August 30th, I'm going to have Jenny Ross, a raw food chef, come on to talk a little bit about raw foods and juicing and all of that. So I've got some cool stuff coming up sometime in September. I have Max Gold. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what date he's coming on. Max from Living Maxwell will be coming on at some point, I think towards the end of September, to talk about organic food. So, David, this might address your question much more in depth, and you might want to send in some questions that I can reserve for him as well. I'm always trying to bring on great guests, and it feels weird when I do these by myself now, but you know, I want to always make sure that I give you guys the best information possible. So thank you so much for watching. If you like these videos, give them a thumbs up, leave some comments, chime in on all these different topics we've addressed today. And for more information, visit ecovegangal.com. All the links are down below for the website, for the products I've mentioned, for social media, where I love having you guys be part of things. And I really hope that you continue to tune in for the Q&As and watch them live, watch the recording, and listen to them on SoundCloud. Thank you so much for being here. I wouldn't be doing these videos if it wasn't for you, so you being here means the world to me. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I will see you next Saturday. Bye.